Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 381 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our third book is called From Letters to Leaders, Leveraging Your Fraternity or Sorority Experience to Land Your Dream Job. So go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, just this past weekend, I was looking over data from our audience of fraternity men at the Alpha Delta Phi Fraternity Convention after they heard 3 Greek University keynote talks. And I was blown away at how many different things that AI could do with that data to help our team get more keynotes by automating all of our social media and promotional initiatives. In the past, we needed a staff of multiple people to do all that work. So small businesses are going to have a huge advantage in the future by automating all of these tasks. I want to talk a little bit more about that on today's podcast. Thomas Helfrich is the proud CEO and founder of InstantlyRelevant.com. This is a forward-thinking company that specializes in LinkedIn lead generation, inventive marketing services harnessed by AI, and the social media strategy and coaching. Thomas is the author of the Never Been Promoted book series and host of the Never Been Promoted podcast, which is a platform where he delves into the entrepreneur journey, discussing the process of unraveling, liberating, and igniting the entrepreneurial spirit. Thomas has earned the nickname AI Nerd, hosting the AI Nerd YouTube channel, where he showcases his deep fascination with and understanding of AI systems. Thomas's professional path, which spans over 2 decades, includes consultancy, advisory roles, and entrepreneurship. Among the notable highlights of his career is Thomas's tenure as the Chief Innovation Officer for a billion-dollar US-based service company. Welcome to the show, Thomas.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope I didn't write that intro because we have to work on brevity if I did. Sorry, I did. I don't think I did that. I'm gonna blame you. Thanks for having me.
Blame AI. Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your undergraduate experience because all of our listeners are college students and many of them do go to IU Bloomington, which is your alma mater. Why did you choose IU?
I was forced. No, I'm kidding. So my whole family, I grew up in St. Louis. So, but my whole family's kind of from Indiana, and it was, I don't know, in the teens deep of family members who went to IU. So it was just kind of like the place I was going to go. I don't regret going there. I mean, if you're at IU and it's beautiful weather right now, right? But in like 2 months, it just becomes gray for 4 or 5 months straight. So those when you're like, why didn't I go to Miami? Why didn't I go somewhere to the beach? So I feel you, my fellow Hoosiers. But think of this, if you went to IU, it's better than going to Purdue. Let's just leave it at that.
All the IU graduates are laughing with you right now. And I totally understand where you're going with like being cloudy all the time. I went to school at the University of Buffalo in Buffalo, New York. And I think the sun comes out once, in the year and it's over the summer. And the rest of the time, it's just gray. You never see the sun. But IU is a beautiful campus. I mean, you go through the fraternity and sorority, whole area, just going through a jog through there. I'm just inspired. I don't know. It's something about those beautiful buildings. I don't know.
Well, no, they have a big Greek community and non-Greek community too. It's just a huge school.
Yeah.
But it's a great camp. It's a great place to go to school. So if you're there, you know it already. If you're sober and you're listening right now and you can remember that you're at IU, just don't forget to go to class once in a while. That's my biggest advice.
That's good advice. And you're the YouTube host of AI Nerd. I'm totally blown away. Every single day I learn something new about some new tool that AI offers as a business owner. Talk to us a little bit about how AI has transformed the marketing landscape.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of core to what we do at Instantly Relevant, but I'll start off by challenging something you said. I would not use automation and AI together for your marketing and brand. I would tell you that's a mistake. It is tempting as hell, but you should be leveraging. In my background from a credential standpoint is, professional consulting for almost 20 years. And you mentioned some of it, but specifically around intelligent automation and AI systems. Mm-hmm. And not that I'm out there coding machine learning or algorithms and things like that, but I'm the one that was consulting the executives for large companies to put these things in, right? To help them automate a process with the intent to accelerate your teams, not really replace them. So you may replace certain roles, but those headcounts and those activities, even a small business, are going to go somewhere else. You're going to use your people and you're going to leverage your resources and capital to do more effective things and more efficient things like, sales or engineering or whatever or service delivery, whatever your business is. Lots of AI tools. I will say the AI Nerd channel has gotten a little, I need to get back in it. I'd say it that way. I've gotten so busy with running my company. I haven't been putting out as many videos as I should, but the tools that you get, they're endless. And part of the challenges as a small business owner is the technology fatigue of knowing what to use. And we can get in the weeds with that a bit, but there are so many good tools from, just a big, everyone knows Chat GPT. Just as a kind of a backdrop, because of the AI Nerd title, I got access, our company has access almost 3 years now. So way ahead of everybody else on the beta side of that. So I can happily discuss how to better leverage yourself with that, but you should use these things to accelerate, not replace your thinking, not replace your originality or your differentiators in the world. You just should use them to make things go a little bit faster and cleaner. And there's a lot of technology we can get into with that, but that's my general rule. Even at school, you're to your audience here. Don't write your papers with it because you're going to get caught. Right. However, I'd argue that should have you stop writing papers because that's kind of dead. What they should try to challenge your teachers to say, just test me on what I learned from the paper that was written. And I think that's more of the point is, source your stuff, learn your stuff, leverage these technologies to improve, not replace your thinking, because you're going to be really screwed when you get out in the world, when you're asked to think and you're like, oh, I don't have my AI to do it for me. It's gonna be a problem. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said, and 100%. I just think that some of the marketing people that ordinarily I would hire, I would basically use them to, number one, proofread everything that AI is putting out, and then number two, focus on sales, right? So I think there's going to be a little bit of a shift that's coming because of AI and all these tools that are there. And I do think it's going to accelerate the growth of the company, just because you're going to have more people that are going to be in a sales capacity versus, let's say, a marketing capacity.
Well, it will and it won't, right? Because everybody's using it. So if you're not using it, you are getting behind relative to market. Yes. But as everyone uses it, then it just becomes table stakes. Right. To get there. What'll matter, and specifically what, we started off as instantly relevant is a marketing company specifically focusing on lead generation. And we started off as a content creation company because of our access to GPT early. I quickly saw oh gosh, this is going to be commoditized. There's no way you build a business around this right now because it's going to be commoditized. Right. It doesn't take away the original thought, doesn't take away the books and things like that. They can enable the better storytelling and stuff like this, but it's what you do with your content. It's what you do with your differentiators. It's how you interact. To give you an example, so this college students probably don't quite have this yet because they may not have LinkedIn accounts. They may not have, but 99% of our customers come to us for LinkedIn first, either to help them really kind of figure out their profiles, how to get a job, how to really use the system correctly. But in every case, once you're on there, you're going to start getting spammed by automated outreach, and it just happens. And you probably know this just by having an account. Right. We do the opposite. We went back to kind of more, not traditional, but we leverage technology to allow us to do commenting on our target lists posts. So they're all human led, but AI enabled. And the reason is because people see it and they're like, oh, that's authentic. I'll actually interact with that person. The more automation you use and the more that people pull back, the more you wreck your brand. And so even if you're trying to get a job or you're just out there working, if you're doing things that are placing you in this kind of spammy bucket, you're wrecking your personal brand, which really won't help you get a job. It won't help you be successful in sales. It won't help you be successful in work. So you have to keep some authenticity and human-led initiatives with it. That'll differentiate you moving forward because the lazy will always go to the AI, but the smart will leverage it to improve what they're doing.
I like that. So for the college students, I meet a ton of college students that are entrepreneurial in nature. I think Gen Z, on the most part, very entrepreneurial. They all have their ideas for their own product or service that they want to bring to the market. Maybe they're starting it on the side as like a side hustle while they're in college, and the intention is to build this into a big company. So what is your advice to these college students who want to become entrepreneurs, sell their own product or service?
First of all, get out of school with as little debt as possible. Okay. And I do mean that. It's probably one of the number one reasons people can't do an entrepreneurship, because they have a student loan or a car payment to make. And then you have to get that W-2 job to help do it. And you can't take the route, you're going to be in a tricky spot where you're going to have to work a side hustle for a while to get through that. So get as low debt as possible. If you're blessed enough to have some, free college, don't screw it up. But on the side hustle, I would tell you, find something you're good at, niche down. Think about this, right? Just from an example, like we're a company, we do really, really well. We focus on commenting on ideal customer profiles posts. That's our lead in. Now we do other things, but that's super niche. But the truth is there's like 100 million people just on LinkedIn alone. If you have 1,000 going for 1,000 a month, that's $1 million a month revenue. Even just 100 or even 10 if you're doing a side hustle. The point being is get super niche, get super good at repeating whatever it is your side hustle is, and just repeat it and get it to where you don't have to be a part of it. And if you can do that, meaning like you don't have to be in the sales every time, you don't have to do that. You've got something you can go build upon, because once you can repeat it, then you can expand it. So be very niche. Most entrepreneurs have a touch of the ADD, so ADHD, and I do, speaking from experience. Squirrel, just kidding. So you're gonna have, that's where the struggle often comes from, is because you love the energy of multiple things. So my advice is get niche. And then the other piece is to kind of feed that ADHD animal, is find 2 other things that are completely different but related. And you're probably like, what? So for example, the Never Been Promoted book we write is about entrepreneurship. That is not related directly, instantly relevant, except they're the same people a few years ahead of when we are going to go help them on their journey. The podcast, which is my second thing, the book being one, the second thing, is where we bring CEOs in and talk to them, and they get to know me personally, and they get to know our services via just an interview about them. Unrelated, instant relevant, but still it is related because they're potential customers. AI Nerd serves the exact same strip of marketing. It's a podcast YouTube channel that's specific to AI CEOs. Find 2 or 3 things that are completely disjointed but yet related. And then that way your brain will be able to have fun focusing across, but they're all working towards whatever your side hustle is.
I like it.
Oh, last thing, get a
Yeah.
W-2 job and treat it like an angel investor to you. Just keep collecting money and go build your own business. That disclaimer is I've never been promoted. So if you do this, you're likely never going to get promoted. You may be asked to leave, but it's a great way to start your side hustle and your other thing. Just be college people. I'm telling you, you're probably going to get fired over that or let go. But you got to be clever. You got to go get your job done, get your angel investor, your W-2 happy. Make sure you get that paycheck collected, and spend a few less hours in Kilroy's if you're in Bloomington. But spend a few less hours in the bar and work on your business with that angel investor money, aka W-2.
Yeah. So, all right. So speaking of Bloomington, right, there's a lot of fraternities and sororities around. I'm sure you saw them all the time. How can our college student leaders foster an innovative culture in their student organizations, such as fraternities and sororities that are literally 100 years old? How can you be innovative in that culture?
I mean, that's a great culture to be in, because you have a set of beliefs you're kind of all together with, and you have this togetherness and youth and energy that's, you're forming these relationships for life right there. First of all, don't be a dick. I say it that way. Don't be the know-it-all. And if you are the know-it-all, know enough to ask questions and get people's ideas. Come up with people that you can trust. So I wouldn't, open up an innovative idea to everybody. Only those who want to be a part of it, regardless if they're morons or they're the smartest people in the world. Bring them in. Anybody says, I'd love to be innovative. But foster in a way of just saying, hey, what's a problem we all have? And that's how, and because you don't solve, you don't build businesses on solutions. You build them on solving a problem. That becomes the solution. And do that. Go innovate around things that every day. You're like, oh, I hate doing X. I wish something would do Y. And that's where the ideas come from. Because then you can be like, well, who would buy that? That's your market. How much would they pay? Great. Is it legal? Question to answer. College people don't sell drugs. Okay. Now, unless you work for a pharma company, and then go have
Then it's okay.
But that's what you do. And so to facilitate that, just know that you got to kind of bring the groups together and then actually listen to what people's ideas are, and know you're probably not going to get it on job one. Humorously, maybe throw a keg of beer or some shots down first, and that gets the things flowing. But get somebody who can not only drive you home, but scribe it. That's where some AI can come in, by the way, as we're talking here, our real-time translation.
Let's talk about AI, because the students now, they all have access to ChatGPT. So I'm wondering, how can students leverage this intelligent automation to streamline all of their processes, such as, let's say, recruitment, for example, improve productivity within the student organization, maybe even hold their members accountable, maybe even give instant feedback to their members, because that's what Gen Z craves because of their addiction to their phones.
Yeah. I'm not sure if AI is the right idea with that, but I will tell you that there's workflows and there's automation technologies. The process is you can use, we'll use ChatGPT or Bard as an example.
Mhm.
You should be using these technologies as a strategist, as somebody you could never afford to hire. And meaning like, so set these prompts up in a way that, hey, take the position of this, what would, an asset, what would be a good process? How often should I remind it? How should I remind them? But keep in mind, these technologies are also probably only trained up to 2021 mid-year of what they're doing. So you may have to mess with some of the features, go do some research yourself.
Mhm.
Future versions will be up to date, but leverage these to help you think through the problem and then try to yourself simplify it straightforward. Because, Gen Z is own, like, what is it? I think I'm Gen X. I don't know. What's a
So
40-year-old?
we are Gen X, but
All right.
Gen Z is today's college students. Yeah.
Okay. So the Gen Zers of the world.
Yeah.
If you take one more damn selfie in the gym, though, I'm going to smack you. I just want you to know that. If I see you, I'm going to hit you with a weight. One selfie
Just one.
per set. Okay. You don't need 6, and you don't need friends filming you. Anyway.
All
It's
right.
okay.
So
Some of your videos are great. All right. So the point is, be simple, be straightforward, because, because there's such a detention crave and there's so much stuff. If you're not being as straightforward and to the point as you can, you're just going to waste time if they're going to, kind of drop you, if you will, because it's going to be just too much. So leverage these technologies to help you more efficient, more concise. And whenever you're doing something manually, stop and find a tech to go do it for you if you can. But be very protective. I'll say this again, be very protective of your personal brand on a number of fronts, from videos you're taking to what you're saying online or whatever else, because it's going to matter even more, especially kids in that zone of age now, that most recorded, most, documented ever. It's going to be all out there, and it already is, but
there it
be
is.
super conscious of it.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these students who are listening, they might be considering going to work for a startup, but you and I both know startups can be very, very difficult in terms of the environment. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges that are faced by the CEO of a startup organization.
I mean, probably the biggest one of most is just funding, is
Mhm.
making sure they have enough funding to pay their people. There's the other piece of, when you join a startup and the CEO is the founder, that's their baby. And so they don't want to hear how ugly it is or anything else, typically. So you have some personalities with this. But I will tell you, a startup is a great place to start your career, because, you're generally not going to be paid as much as in maybe the corporate world, but you're going to learn so much, because you're going to have to wear 40 different hats, because you'll have your role, but you'll have to do lots of other things, and you'll have to be part of a team, and you'll be moving fast. And if you like that environment, great place to go. If you like just kind of the repetitive, do the same things over and over, then go work for a big company and don't subject yourself to it. Because a startup is, no one goes there thinking this is where their career is going to be.
Mhm.
They're going there with the idea that I'm going to learn something, be here a few years, maybe get some shares, make a little money, and go do it again. If that's your mindset and you're trying to become an entrepreneur as well, I would think that's a great place, because you're going to learn so much about being an entrepreneur that's going to set you up to be a much more successful one. And like a lot of times, a lot of startups are much more agreeable to having you have a side hustle, because they get it.
Mhm.
Because they have, even the startup founder probably has a side hustle,
Oh,
even if they're funded.
yeah. All right. So I've been looking at a lot of the social media accounts of these college students who are really our clients, and I'm telling you, they need some help. So give us some tips on creating engaging content on
Yeah.
some different platforms such as Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah. I would say on any one of your profiles, either be LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or X, what else it's called now. Like, if anybody knows how to use Threads, you can come, whatever it is.
Let me know.
Let somebody know, because I couldn't even, anyway. And any one of them, you want to do your best to kind of answer 3 main things on your profile. One is, why should I click it? And so that might be a headline that, might be the first 6, 7 words or whatever it is. It explains kind of why someone should check out your profile. When they land there, the images that you show, the banners, whatever else, make sure, or whatever they see first, should definitely explain to the person coming in what it is you do for them, not what it is you do. Like, no one cares. They care what you do for them. The third thing it should explain is, why should I take your call to action? So whatever link you provide or whatever thing you want them to go do, it shouldn't say, here's my website, basically. Like, it should say something like, so like for mine on LinkedIn, it says the best meeting of your week. That goes to a Calendly link. So that's why you take it. It's the best meeting of your week. Who doesn't take that? Only a narcissist doesn't click that. Anyway, so those are the three things you want to answer on any of your social media, those three questions: why I should click it, what you do for me, and why I should take this call to action. What's my benefit? The third thing on content is should always be in a what's in it for me format, and not for the creator, but for the person you want to see it. What's the benefit? What is the benefit of them watching it? It could be to laugh. It could be to learn how to do a process better. It could be, how to, I don't know, melt cheese balls into a fiberglass solution. I have no idea. There's a lot of crazy stuff on TikTok. All that stuff, you have to do the current cool, whatever the things you're doing, zoom in, zoom out, trends, whatever, do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the content's got to resonate. I will tell you this though, that the thing you should never focus on are the vanity metrics, followers, all those things, unless if you can't monetize it, it means nothing. It's actually a waste of money. So the more followers you get, it doesn't matter unless you have a monetization strategy of why you need those followers. And so you have to think it could be advertising, it could be selling your own products. That is only but a vehicle and a tool to help you get business to do something. It could be speaking, it could be whatever it is, but you better know what your monetization path is, because otherwise you're not going to know. It doesn't matter. It just becomes a vanity metric that makes nothing for it. Actually costs you money because it costs you time. So that's the other thing. So have a monetization path of why you want to follow it all.
100%. Now, my son is going to college in the fall. He's going to be starting out as a freshman data science major. So if you were to get a crystal ball, look into the future of AI over the next 4 years, what do you predict is going to happen from here?
Oh man, I think the data scientist, if you will become the engineer, like the software engineer of the .com boom, right? So I think where it goes it continually gets more powerful, smarter. More companies are going to do large language models. There are going to be other pieces that kind of bring that together in the open source world. I think the biggest thing that it comes to that are kind of not there are the regulations around transparency and explainability of AI. Mm-hmm. And so having that is kind of a core asset of one of your skill sets of knowing how your models explain and why they pick it will be important. But also, I think there'll be a big shift in how data privacy works and what the data you can use in the model, so they're not biased or unfair. So I think you'll have some big, large scale changes on how data is used, how data is collected, how data is compensated for, but also then how the AI engineers, if you will, and the scientists leverage those in their outcomes.
I'm totally fascinated. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. We do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. So I'm wondering, the next time I'm in Atlanta, where should I be going for a great meal?
Oh, wow. I will tell you, a little nook of the world up there up north in Alpharetta is downtown Alpharetta. And it's almost like Stepford Wives plan, very nice. Like, it's like, I can't explain, like, if you've never seen this movie, it's like, but there's so many good little restaurants all through there. Come up north, it's pretty, it's nice. It's very far from the airport. So I'm sorry, you may be quicker to drive down from wherever you are, from New York or anywhere, than it is to take it up from the airport. I do like that. So I can't speak down to the city proper because I live up here, but I'll tell you, that's a great area to go out. They have things up here called speakeasy. So like, when it was the Prohibition, where you actually have to like pick up a phone, then a secret door opens. They have one of those in there, and those are fun to go out.
Absolutely. Good time there. No question. It's easy for me to get there because I'm from Nashville. So for me, I just drive down right to Alpharetta. We're ready to go.
You are definitely drive down. It's quicker.
Definitely drive down, quicker than flying. All right. So if our listeners, if they want to connect with you, where should they go in order to connect with you, Thomas?
Yeah. So connect me on LinkedIn. Just search for Thomas Helfrich. You can get to me actually from I do take meetings still from, if you go to instantly-relevant.com. If you book time, that actually goes to me right now. I still have availability for that. I will tell anybody though, if anybody has a real business question, don't spam or I'll block in and I won't pick up the phone. But if you text me, I will actually reply back and find time with you. So I'll give you, here's my actual number. If you've made it this, you have to tell me what podcast you heard this on, and I will actually find time to talk to you about your idea in business. It's 314-954-6900. That's actually my phone. You can text me. Don't call. I will not pick it up. If anybody from Purdue texts me, I probably won't pick it up. I'm just kidding. I'll talk to you, laugh a lot. But 314-954-6900. If you're a Hoosier, you're going to get deference. Just that simple. You'll get deference on my availability.
That is very kind of you. Thomas is literally just giving you his cell phone number and saying, text me. He'll give you business advice. That is an incredible offer. Thank you so much, Thomas, for spending time with us, making yourself available to our listeners. And what can I say? You're incredible. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I appreciate it, Michael. Have a good day as well.
Yes. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Thomas, like it, share it with other college students, and we'll see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.